Hello. Half a century ago, a phrase slipped quietly into the English language. It has never made any great impact, and yet it is with us still. The phrase, the cult of youth. In the 1960s, after the drab years of post-war austerity and the conformist 1950s, youth had its day. Rock and roll, mods and rockers, riots on bank holiday weekends along the south coast. Like it or loathe it, the times they were a-changing. And a new language arose to announce the cult of youth's triumph. If you were on the side of the cult, you were with it. If you weren't, you were condemned as being square. To be young was good and proper. To be old was to be past your usefulness, a figure to be pitied or laughed at. This, as I once heard it said in a sermon, is the central message of Neighbours. There have always been good things about being young. The young have energy. They are idealistic and, believing the world should be changed for the better, decide to change it. The young are open to new ideas, new ways of doing things. Our grandchildren were overhauling Elizabeth's iPhone and told her that she didn't need TikTok because it wasn't for old people. The world has changed more in the last 20 years than it has done in the whole of the rest of history. For this reason, the over 50s can feel out of their depth and shorn of any expertise or utility in a world they no longer feel competent in. The young rule, the old protest against their rule ineffectually. Deeper things underlie this trend. The older generation have led the drift away from God. As they have done, they have lost their authority. For natural, unforced authority comes from knowing where that authority comes from. If you know that God gives you authority as a parent, or a teacher, or a policeman, the young grow up with the security of knowing there is a framework of discipline their life is defined and aided by. There are boundaries and horizons within which to securely grow and develop. Take that authority away and the boundaries are lost and the map has disappeared. Anything now goes, and the only map a youngster has are his own devices and desires. It is, I believe, for this reason that the Bible has, if I may call it this, a cult of old age. Take, for example, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 32. Rise in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 22. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Get wisdom, discipline, and understanding, and so on. The Bible does this because it is the authority of the old to pass on to the young the laws and wisdom of God. That today's old have failed to do this means that we have a noticeable minority of young people who consider themselves above any law or ruling except that to their own law and ruling about themselves. Thus it is that at a time when the whole nation should be living a life of self-restraint for the country's long-term good, there are youngsters who refuse to live no other life except one built on selfishness and hedonism. They could ruin our economy for decades to come. Could it be that the rest of this century sees the rise of countries where the old administer godly discipline? Bye bye.